which are used to complement each other. That means they are used together. Unless they must be used together. Now, in other words, if the two things x and y are perfect complement, that means they must be used together perfectly. Right. For example, boyfriend, girlfriend is all perfect complement. So the utility curve is L-shaped. Right. Now, the utility is derived from the two things, root x and root y. Right. So if the utility function is L-shaped, then in mathematics, then the utility function will be the minimum of the two utilities. The utility from x units of utility, y units of utility. So if that means the equation is this, right, or the L shape. Now, in other words, the interpretation is this. The utility comes from which roots? Now, for this diagram, it will be root x and root y. Now, so what do you mean by the utility comes from x and y? So what do you mean by the utility from x, from root x? Now, the interpretation is the utility from x means the utility from x units of x. So that's what it means. Okay. The utility from root x means, in mathematics, the utility from x units of root x. Okay, so what about this then? The utility from root y. Now the utility from y means what? The utility from y means the utility from y units of y. So that's how we interpret it. Okay? So put together, this simply means from the utility function, the utility is equal to the lower of these two utilities. So the minimum of these two utilities. X means the utility from x units of x. Y means the utility from y units of y. Right? So if the good is not called x, if the good is called banana, then this will be the utility from banana units of banana. Understand? So if it's coffee, the good is from coffee, right? Then it will be the utility from coffee units of coffee. That's how you interpret such thing. Okay? Coffee units of coffee. Okay, so in the case of perfect complement, remember complement means the two things must be used together, otherwise it's useless. Now, left shoe and right shoe must be used together. Right? You don't see people go around shopping wearing one left shoe with no right shoe. Right? Simply because they must be used together. Okay? Or you cannot see left shoe and left shoe. Right? Unless your feet is very special. Then you wear two left shoe, right? Otherwise no. So that means they must perfectly complement each other. The left shoe must be perfectly complemented with a right shoe. So X is right shoe, Y is left shoe. Now if that's the case, how come it means for perfect complement, they must be used in fixed proportion. One left shoe, one right shoe. Two left shoe, two right shoe. Then that will give you utility. Right? You cannot have one left shoe and two right shoes. Now the reason why is if you look at here. Suppose you have one left shoe. Okay? Now if you have one left shoe, one root y. Now to give you utility, you must have one right shoe. Together, then, that means we are talking about point A. That will give you U0. Okay, this combination. Now, if I were to have one left shoe, so let's say my y is equal to 1. So on this line, your y equal 1. Now, if you have one left shoe, do you think that by this line y equal 1, right, one left shoe, do you think by increasing my right shoe to 2, can my utility rise? No. If it's one left shoe, two right shoe here, the utility will still be U0. Right? Unless you got 3 feet. Now, do you think if I have one left shoe, if I increase my right shoe to 3, one left shoe and 3 right shoe, this coordinate, then my utility right? No. You still use 0, right? Unless you have forfeit. So if you have forfeit, you can run the car, right? Your tiger need 4 shoes. So obviously cannot, because we being human only got 2 legs. So that's why the utility, as you can see, when you only have 1 left shoe on this line, y equal 1. No matter how many x you increase, the utility will still stay the same. That's why it's a horizontal line. Understand? Now on the other hand, why this line is vertical? Because if you have 1 x, x equal 1, so on this line, x equal 1. By increasing your y, if your y is 1, you get u naught. If I increase it to 2, still u naught. Increase to 3, on these coordinates, the utility is still u naught. Remember, on the same curve, the utility is the same everywhere. So that's why, if they are perfect complement, the utility curve has to be a L shape. Understand? It has to be L shape. Because the two things must be used in fixed proportion. As such, that's why you can see the utility curve is this way. And if it's this way, that means in mathematics, the utility is always based on the lower of the 2 utility. Right, why? Very simple. Suppose every shoe gives us 1 unit of satisfaction. Alright? So when you wear your shoe, you get very satisfied. They give us 1 unit of satisfaction. Now, if a person has 2 left shoe, how much satisfaction will he get? 2 units of satisfaction, 2 UTs. If you have 3 right shoe, by right, if you have 3 right shoe, it should give you 3 units of utility, 3 UTs. Now, based on this, we are saying the utility must always be based on the lower of the 2. So, what's the utility from 2 left shoe and 3 right shoe? It's always the lower of the 2 utility, so therefore it's always equal to 2, not 3. You should understand why, right? If you have 2 left shoe, 2 right shoe, perfect complement. Any other extra right shoe will serve no purpose. So therefore the utility should be based on the lower of the 2. Because the 3 right shoe, even you have 1 million right shoe, no use. The utility cannot increase. Understand? If you have 2 left shoe, only 2 right shoe can complement the 2 left shoe. The rest all useless. So that's why the utility is always based on the lower of the 2 utility. Which means, for instance, you have a case like John here. Okay, so if I just don't let you see the answer, I ask you, find out for me, what's the utility function for John? And write down John utility function. Okay, so first, before you write down the utility function, you have to ask yourself, is this utility function based on perfect substitute, perfect complement, or are the 2 things imperfect substitute? Okay, so first, let's check. Now, John derived utility from what? Martini. So it's the Martini that gives him the satisfaction. Now, but in order to have the Martini, what he needs? In order to create 1 Martini, he needs 1 gin and 2 of Vermouth. In other words, to generate the Martini, it's the Martini that gives him satisfaction. So to create the satisfaction, he needs to make the Martini. Now we are given that G equal 1 G, and V equal to 2 of mark. Okay, these 2 are required to make 1 Martini. And it's from the Martini that he gets 1 1 unit of satisfaction. Now the measurement of satisfaction is okay, 1 unit of satisfaction. Okay. Now that being the case, this type of utility function is a perfect substitute or perfect complement. Now the goods, these two things generate this to give the satisfaction, right? Now these two things, perfect substitute. No. Then what are they? They are complement. That means they must be used together. Then you can get this. Now how we know they are perfect complement? Because they must be used in fixed proportion. Right? 1G, 2B. If it's fixed proportion, it's perfect complement. Now the fixed proportion need not be 1 to 1. What I do for you just now is 1 ratio, 1 ratio, is 1 to 1. This is 1 to 2. Alright? Okay, can you give me the utility function for John then? That's right. The first thing you have to ask yourself, John, the utility comes from where? Wait, I use Jean as big G. Just to be consistent, small g and big G are the same, right? But I want you to tell me how come that one is big G, this is small g, although they are the same G. So you know that John, the utility comes from these two inputs. What are the two things? The two things is called G and B. Okay? That's how what we say is the utility comes from what? Good X, good Y. Come from X and Y. Now this question, the utility comes from G and B. Okay, how do you interpret this? We have already deduced that it's a perfect complement. That means the utility must be based on what? The minimum of the two utility. Alright? So first, the sun already issued this. So now you think, what do you mean by G? The utility from G. Interpretation means the utility from G units of G. The utility from G units of G. What do you mean by V? The utility from V units of V. Simple? Okay, so that's how you do it now. And so, to find the answer, so the fastest way is still to look at the answer. Okay? So from here you can tell right away. Right, that's how you get the answer. Simple? Which means the following. As I said before, first you have to ask yourself, the utility comes from two things, right? What are the two things? If the two things, the good is called good X and good Y, then the utility is from X means X units are X, V means V units of V. So for here, because it's G, so therefore it's always equal to the lower of the two utility. The utility from G means G units of G, V means V units of V. Now, we know that 1 ounce of G give 1 UTIL. Alright. Why? Because it comes from here. You get 1 unit of utility, 1 unit of G, give 1 unit of utility. So if 1 unit of G give 1 unit of utility, therefore G units of G give how many utility? G units of G. G times 1. G times 1 is called G. So that's why here G units of utility. Now we also know from here that 2 units of V give you 1 unit of utility. Right. So if 2 units of V give 1 unit of utility, 1 unit of V give how much? Half units of utility. Now if 1 unit of V give half units of utility, V units of V give how much? 1 unit of V give half UTS. V units of V give V times half. V times half is called VO2. Alright. Units of utility. So you can see essentially these two are utility. And so the utility is always based on the lower of the two. Clear? Lower of the two. Okay, any question? Okay, so the utility is always based on the minimum of these two utilities. Finish. Now that's obvious. That's obvious. If G equal 1, V equal 100, what's the utility? Put inside the equation. G equal 1, V equal 100. Therefore, 100 divided by 2 is 450. So the utility is equal to 1. Okay? Simple. So that's the good thing about IB. Our solution is always very short. So a lot of you score 100. Very easy to pass. Very short answer. Unlike your intro econs, it's very tough. 4 to 5 pages of graph and graph and graph. Analyze. Right, this one very easy. That's why your friend recommend you to do that. You should thank your friend. Now I think if you use common sense, Y1, very simple. If you only have 1 gene, even you have 100 V, what does it matter? Because to get 1 martini, these two must be used in fixed proportion, right? 2 V will do. We give you 1 UTS. Alright. The other 98 V you say what to do. You still want to just put pour in also can, but it's not called martini. Alright. Put in your 98 extra V inside. It's poison. Isn't it? So you see, once the thing must be used in fixed proportion, they are perfect complement. So the utility is always based on the lower of the two. Because the lower one keep a bind how much that can be produced. Alright. If you have 1 G, what's the point of having so many V? You will not create the martini. Alright, the other 98 will be thrown away. That's why the utility is always based on the lower.